Sports Saga podcast presented by Smack Apparel, the official fan gear of the Sports Saga podcast. Epic Promotions, the official promotions dealer of the Sports Saga podcast. Aldi's Electric and the Gonzalez family team of Keller Williams, South Wautopa. Great to have you, Keegan Hamlet, Tyler Clark, with me, Brady Kudo. Welcome back. First time in a while. We've done this because, life. Um, yeah. First and foremost, I want to send a big thanks to everyone who tuned into Dartmouth women's hockey on December 1st on Nesson Plus.
I did.
Really,
I
thanks.
did too.
Well,
really.
I admittedly forgot about it, and then when I sent you the text about Fairhaven winning the Super Bowl as an 8 seed, and then that dawned on me. It's like, oh, that's the game. So I missed like the first maybe 3
Well,
minutes.
you weren't the only one, so don't feel too bad.
Yeah,
But honestly, thank you to everyone who tuned in.
you were great, and the guy you worked with was fantastic too.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
He
Rob.
is. Yeah.
So we are going to quickly hit the 5 major sports.
Yep.
And then we'll be back right before the new year with another episode. So I want to get into baseball first. A couple quick talking points. First of all, Shohei Ohtani, we all know, 10 years, $700 million, the largest contract in the history of
By a wide margin.
Yeah.
By a wide margin. But I got to say, the way they structured this deal was nothing short of genius on Shohei's part.
Absolutely brilliant from the Dodgers part. This is the biggest win now thing I've ever seen. I mean, absolutely astounding. You get the best player in baseball for 10 years for only $2 million a year.
But then the problem is, then you go to the perhaps does in 2042 when you're paying him $68 million, right? Like
they'll worry about that then. They're not worried about the future. This is the Dodgers. We spent the past, I'm going to say, 15 years, more realistically 10, that they've been consistently good every single year and managing only to win one World Series in a shortened year.
Right.
Which is the disappointment they have every year, and they're tired of it because, quite frankly, if you look, this past year, no one planet Earth would have predicted that the freaking Diamondbacks would have advanced further in the playoffs than the Dodgers.
Right.
Even before the year, even in the middle of the year, in the year before, like it was the Padres who, granted, they had a higher bar than Arizona.
But that still amazes me that they didn't do as well as they arguably should have.
So imagine a world that this won't happen. Quote me on this. The Dodgers pay all this money, they go to Ohtani, and they get all this, and then next year the Colorado Rockies win the pennant, essentially.
Like, it ain't going to happen. But
no. But when I saw that, I'm like, all the money for Ohtani, I'm like, that's a lot of money they're going to give, not to build a team around him. And then they're restructured. Brilliant. I predicted he would sign with the Dodgers.
Yes, you did.
I think I was on the podcast.
You did it on this show.
I did it on this show. I did predict that. But that's not like an unpopular take. I mean, that was the predicted team. Anyway.
Well, I was leaning towards – I said Baltimore. And the reason I said Baltimore was because, first of all, get out of California simply because of the taxes. So, in all actuality, he's not making $68 million 10 years from now per year.
Yeah.
You know what he's making?
It's like
he's making
$34
million.
Yeah.
That contract was nearly sliced in half once you take taxes away. So that's why I was very, very big on he's getting out of the West Coast, specifically California. To begin with, I thought about New York. The Rangers were one. Toronto, I thought he was going to go to Toronto.
I thought it was Toronto too until the very end.
I was like, oh my God. I was like, but please do not go to the AL East. And then I heard he went to the Dodgers. I was like, wow, don't know how they afforded that. But at the same time, the West Coast can have him.
Right. And I I figured it was either going to be Dodgers or Yankees, but as soon as the Yankees traded for Soto, I knew they were out. Um, and I was correct about that. But
Speaking of the
he's a
Dodgers and
great.
Yankees,
Yep.
they are 2 teams in on the Yoshibu Yamamoto sweepstakes here. I mean, 25 years old, throws gas, Sox are in on him, which kind of ties into the next question of what should the Sox do? What can the Sox do? I feel like my biggest fear with Yamamoto is that he turns into Daisuke Matsuzaka, where you throw a bunch of money at him and he's average. However, I don't think he's going to be like that.
Matsuzaka was not average at the start of his time with the Red Sox, though.
But he wasn't what he could have become. Does that make sense?
He got them a World Series win in 07.
But you looked at Matsuzaka and you were like, this is the next Nomo. This is the next guy from Asia that is going to just turn heads. And he turned heads for maybe a season and a half.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he was older than Yamamoto. Yamamoto's only 25. He was older than Yamamoto. As you know, Hideo Nomo, I believe, was 30 when he came over to the MLB. So, which ties in the question, Ty, I'll go to you first. Where do you see Yoshibu Yamamoto playing baseball in March?
I think he'll sign with the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox need to make a push. The Red Sox, if they take their roster they have right now, which is essentially the same roster they had last year,
right,
minus Justin Turner, and you're swapping out Tyler O'Neill for Verdugo,
which I think was brilliant.
The Red Sox,
as much as I hate trading with the Yankees, I think now after seeing that they got O'Neill, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
The Red Sox are not going to win the AL East next year.
No,
they're not. They're probably not going to come in second in the AL East. The Red Sox' best shot in an absolutely stacked division is they need to make a trade or a signing of someone like Yamamoto, and then compete. Basically, they need to make a run with the way the postseason format is. It seems to benefit the lower seeds more, as weird as that is.
Yes.
The World Series this year was a 5 and a 6. Last year it was a 2 and a 6. The Astros are the only team that's found success with that. But pull a Phillies, pull a Diamondbacks. You have 2 strong pitchers that you can rely on that you pretty much either brought up yourself or just acquired, and make a run that way. But I think that the Red Sox will realize that if they don't sign him, they have no shot next year. I mean, you're looking at another year of average at best baseball, and they probably would fade down the stretch, kind of like they did last year again. But I think they need to realize they need. That's just me coming from that, but I think they will, because they are one of the front runners for him. I don't see the Dodgers. They have a lot of money, but do they have that much money? Are they willing to pretty much kill the entire future of the franchise now to win and if they don't even win it, then it just goes down as one of the most colossal blunders ever. So I don't know. I think he goes to the Red Sox.
Keegan?
Yeah, I was going to say the Red Sox too, but if you're the Sox and how you're going to approach it, I'm not looking like 10 years for Ohtani. I want to see if this guy can actually prove something first, maybe 2 or 3 years. And then if that doesn't work out, maybe try to trade him for some value or something like that.
The shortest contract he'll get is 5 years.
You think so?
In my eyes.
Yeah.
The shortest he will get between 5 and 10 years. It's hard for me to say no to the Dodgers. But it's hard for me to say no to the Red Sox. It's hard for me to say no to San Francisco.
Dodgers have so much money going to 3 players right now.
It's hard for me to say no to Philly.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the Phillies. One thing we can say is he will not be signing with the Oakland Athletics.
I can rule out.
If I'm to make a pick, gotta go with the Dodgers.
I don't think he'll sign with the Colorado Rockies either.
No, I gotta go with the Dodgers, and it kills me to say it because I want to see him wear the red and white of the Red Sox, but Yamamoto wants to win now. Ohtani just went there. He's going to be like, hey, let's go win a chip. You know what I mean? I just think it's too much. Where, yes, Yoshida's there. Yoshida's in Boston. But I think Boston is more likely to honestly get Jordan Montgomery more than anything. Montgomery has spent the entire offseason in Boston. The wife, I heard, is starting her dermatology residency in Boston. I think Montgomery's a Red Sox. Which I'm not going to complain about that. I think Jordan Montgomery's, when he's on, right? I think he's one of the better lefties in the game. But aside from pitching, Tyler, give me one person you want the Red Sox to sign this season.
I got to remember what the free agent pool is.
Keegan, you have anyone in mind while Tyler thinks?
No, I'm going to the free agents too on
Okay.
that.
While we think about that, I just want to let you know right after this, we're going to get into a little bit of college football and tap into a little bit of the NFL. I know Tyler Clark is a very, very happy Jags fan.
I wouldn't say happy is the best word to use right now.
Yeah, well, it's better than what our football teams are going through right now. So, anyone catching?
So you said besides a pitcher?
Besides a pitcher, yes.
I found one that I would be okay. He's not the best guy, but he has enough experience. That's what I want, like a guy with leadership who will come into the locker room and help sort everything out. So I looked and I would say maybe Whit Merrifield.
I like that.
He's still got a little bit left in the tank.
I like that.
I'd say, and he's been in the league for forever. So that's what I'd go with.
We need a second baseman.
We got two. I got two. I looked.
All right.
Reuniting with JD Martinez is not a bad idea.
Okay.
Because they have their DH position and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. made kind of a household name for himself in the postseason.
Oh, yeah. I'm interested to see about that prospect, Rafaela. I think I'm saying it. I think he's a middle infielder.
Yeah.
Or is it third base? I don't know what he is. Third baseman, second baseman.
Third base is going to be blocked.
You don't think Devers
shortstop?
DH spot?
Maybe. Shortstop is blocked. Yeah, I mean Devers would be willing to move around just because his defense is a liability still.
Yeah. Let's move on to football.
Okay.
I mean, Jags are playing on Sunday Night Football, right? For the first time.
First time since 2008.
I would say, I think you were graduating high school the last time the Jags.
I was a senior in high school the last time they played on Sunday Night Football.
Incredible. Not incredible.
And I watched them play in person on Sunday.
Yeah, I saw pictures. Yeah, that looked like a good time.
I'm not as high on them as I was a couple weeks ago.
Who are they playing?
They are playing Baltimore.
Baltimore.
That's a tough
If they
game.
get through Baltimore, though, their last three games are Tampa, Carolina, and Tennessee.
They're fine.
There should be, and they will win the division. The seed they have is up, but the AFC playoffs this year reminds me of the 2 years ago when the Bengals ran it.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if you two remember. When the Bengals ran it, who was the number one team in the AFC that year? Who remembers?
The Chiefs.
KC, right?
Nope.
The Ravens.
Nope, they were two.
The Ravens were one.
No, not Ravens either.
Was it Tennessee?
Buffalo.
It was Tennessee.
Oh, that's right.
Tennessee was the one. Kansas City was 2. Buffalo was 3. And Cincinnati was 4. Cincinnati knocked off. It was Las Vegas then. Las Vegas in the first round.
Yep. And then
Tennessee. I will never ever stop talking about the horrible officiating in that game.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Absolutely atrocious. No, you can't sit there and say, "Oh my God, it was bad."
You had a chance to win.
They were pulling for Cincinnati the entire time. Absolutely ridiculous. Remember that the whistle, like ball was in the air on a touchdown, and the whistle blew, and they called the play dead. If they score that touchdown, they win the game.
I was at Ryan's that night.
I've never been more aggravated.
I really was
that day. I was so aggravated. Awful officiating. Move on. I'm sorry.
The point before I was unleash that horrible memory on you
sorry.
is last year Jacksonville had that great run to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone didn't think Kansas City would win the AFC last year. To be totally honest, they were on a run. Wishful thinking, perhaps. Kansas City this year is not as good as they have been. They're still good,
No.
but of course we'll say this and they'll win the AFC anyway. They're turning into like the Patriots had some down years and they still won the AFC regardless. But I think this year is pretty wide open in the AFC. I like to think of this. It would be very fitting if Jacksonville finally wins the AFC, gets to the Super Bowl, gets absolutely destroyed by San Francisco, which is basically what would happen most likely.
I think regardless, I don't see, unless someone gets hurt again, and I'm knocking on wood because I don't want to see anybody in that team get hurt again. Like I have friends that are Niners fans, and I know I would never hear the end of it, but that's fine because I want to see them win, and I want to see them win a Super Bowl. I've been following Brock Purdy since he was a freshman in college. He's a baller. He's always been awesome. When I saw, he was Mr. Irrelevant, I was like, this man deserves much better than that, and he's gotten much better than that. He's proven the world that he's legit. And I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to command up to $40 million a year. I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think he takes the Brady approach of where he's going to take pay cuts to help the team get better. I think that's just the guy I think he is. And Keegan, I think, is agreeing with me here. So, Keegan, I'll start with you. Do you see Niners or the field?
Niners. Because I know Philly's
I agree.
Philly's had
it's hard to pick against them, man. It really is.
Philly's had a tough couple games. The Cowboys are the Cowboys, so something's gonna happen. And then nobody from the NFC South is going. So who do you go to next?
The only other team in the NFC is Detroit.
Yeah. And Detroit doesn't really have that playoff experience with that group of players yet.
I mean, they've got Goff, but that's about it.
I don't even want to take an attempt to predict the wild card teams.
No, I don't either.
The only guaranteed wild card team is who doesn't win the NFC East. That's guaranteed to be the 5. And probably Cleveland will make it in the AFC.
And I will say, if there's one team that I think is going to go on a Cinderella run to the Super Bowl, it's going to be the Cleveland Browns.
I would say Buffalo, but
Buffalo has that's the best defense in the NFL. I don't care who the quarterback is. DTR is not bad. Who is it right now? It's not DTR, right? Who is it right now?
It's Flacco.
It is Flacco. That's right.
I just watched him play, so yeah.
I'm gonna say, but that's an experienced guy who, you know what? He's been there before.
Mm-hmm,
we can talk about defense carrying him, and as true as that is, the offense still has to put up points. He's in a very familiar situation than when he was back in, 11, 12, whenever it was. He's in a very similar spot. I'm just saying, I would not count the Cleveland Browns out to go on a little Cinderella run. And we didn't talk about this in our production meeting, but we briefly brought up the Patriots, and I want to get your inputs quickly. Keegan, hit me. Who's the next head coach of the New England Patriots?
Gerard Mayo.
Tyler, who's the next head coach of the New England Patriots?
Gerard Mayo. No, I know you.
Don't say McDaniels. I don't want McDaniels back here.
No.
Michael Vrabel.
That's right, Vrabel. They could coax him away from Tennessee. He's got the experience.
And they will.
They will, yeah. That's the other one I
thought
of.
I think they're going to go nobody from the Belichick tree. The coaching tree. Not the player tree.
Yeah.
They're not going to go after McDaniels. They're not going to promote O'Brien. They're not going to call Patricia, Judge. Steve's not going to get promoted. I don't think it's going to be Mayo because I think Mayo's going to go somewhere else. But I think Mayo's going to find himself somewhere else. He will be a head coach of the league. There's no doubt about it. But I don't. I think they want to stray away from the Belichick way or the Patriot way or the Brady way.
Belichick will coach next year. Just not
you know where Belichick's going?
Chargers.
Los Angeles
LA Chargers, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a two.
This is the point of
perfect.
This is the point of this. It's always going to be disagreements and debate. It's basically predicting the future, which is impossible.
Where are you saying, Keith?
I think Washington. Rivera's
Oh.
done.
But that's where Mayo. That's
You
where a
think
guy like
Mayo
Mayo
will
would
end
thrive.
up there?
That's where Mayo would thrive.
Belichick.
Because that defense is loaded. I know they got rid of Young. I know this, but I'm just saying they would thrive with a young guy like Mayo. And by the way, can we just wrap up, put a bow on the Coach of the Year award to DeMeco Ryan, whatever his name is, the Houston guy?
Nico Ryans.
Can we just give him that award, please? What a job he has done.
Yeah.
When we think about it, okay, this team, it probably gonna make the playoffs.
Well,
This team was supposed to finish with 2 wins.
CJ Stroud's hurt right now, so I wouldn't count on that.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. The job this guy has done is awesome. This team is, even with Stroud, this team was supposed to finish with 3 wins. They were supposed to be taking Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft this year. And they're going to finish 9-8, 8-9, and they're probably going to make the playoffs. I just want to commend him on the job he's done because he has totally turned the direction of that franchise around.
Oh, yeah.
That might be a stretch, but
Oh no, I agree. You're right on.
he really has. They've really gone from pretender to contender.
The other one I was thinking of you would consider is McDaniel with Miami or Campbell.
The only guy I would consider is Dan Campbell.
Yeah, but the Lions were expected to be good though.
They were expected to be decent, not as good as they are, but what did we expect from Houston?
Another
anything.
One I would consider if they make the playoffs, you can throw in there was O'Connell with the Vikings because they were pretty much dead in the water and they managed to.
Yeah, I mean, I'd throw in Robbie Saleh as well out in New York, but again, that's if they make the playoffs, which I doubt.
No.
That's another Niners guy, by the way. Just saying. Yeah. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan is cooking over there, but that's the Nick Saban of the coaching tree right now of the NFL is Kyle Shanahan. Basketball. I'm going to jump. Keegan, I'll start with you on this first because I wanted you to take the lead on this. Give me some quick thoughts on the Draymond Green incident.
Deserved. I mean, listen, I hate Nurkic as it is, but just because of how many times he's been acting up and then his reactions to it afterwards, like on the court, and it's off the court too, like with Poole not too long ago in the practice or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Do you know how? I know it's indefinitely. Do you know like a timetable of how long it's going to be?
They just say.
I mean, indefinitely.
It definitely
just say indefinitely. There'll be a hearing. For it. But Ty, I don't know about you, but I feel like this is long overdue.
Yeah, this is, I think, a buildup of a lot of years of frustration. The only thing that I think it kept it going is because the Warriors just won so consistently and all the time, and having Draymond Green on the screen with Curry and Thompson and with KD for a time too was just drew in the viewers. But to say that he's suspended indefinitely, but the translation of that is they're suspending him until higher ups can meet and determine some length of time for it. I think it was right to do that. I think his behavior has been getting increasingly volatile as time has gone on. And I don't think the league was left with a choice because they didn't want to straight up say he's suspended for 8 games because people would start pointing fingers and being like, well, this guy was suspended for longer and needed less than that.
You'd have the public, and at the same time, you'd have the public saying, you've done that before, and it didn't work.
No, so that's why they said indefinitely until they can figure out what they're going to do with him next.
Yeah, I agree. Smart move on the league's part. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of, remember like Vontaze Burfict, that linebacker? He was finding himself in the same spot. Antonio Brown. I mean, I truly think, and I don't want to speculate, but I hope whatever Draymond needs, and I'm not saying we got to cater to Draymond Green, but if the guy legitimately needs to check himself into rehab, I hope he gets whatever's wrong. I hope he is able to get clean and healthy because this cannot, this is, bad boy Pistons stuff, but times 5, right? it's so bizarre because you don't see it anymore. So whatever
No,
happens, I mean, I don't understand.
we'll
But
see when they decide on the suspension, but I don't think they're going to be very kind to him. They
I
may
don't think
take
so either.
they may take
And
account.
they shouldn't be.
No, they may take into account the games that he'll miss when they're still debating it. So it'll be like he's suspended for 12 games. They're going to count 2 type of thing, maybe. But he's not like a. This isn't like they're suspending LeBron or Steph Curry or or Luca, like a household name in the NBA. I mean, he's
A face of
Yeah.
your league. This
Yeah.
is public enemy number
He's-
1, right? Like let's
he's a I'm not like border like top tier player, but he's not like one of the faces of the league here.
he is the modern day Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
But instead of coloring his hair, he's got a podcast. That's the way. I can't put any simpler than that. Very quickly, college, UConn or the field. Keegan, you first.
The field. Because it's so
Anyone-
rare you see a team go back to back.
I know this, but anyone in particular?
Give me a second to think. Hold on.
Let it marinate. Tyler?
Well, it depends if we have a March Madness tournament like we had this past year, because if we got on this podcast on December 14th and said that the Final Four would be UConn, Miami, San Diego State, and FAU, you would think that was lunacy. And I would agree. The fact that I want to find the one person who at any point of the year predicted a UConn San Diego State national champion. UConn, I can see, granted. San Diego State out. Let me say that. Someone
Other than the San Diego State fans.
someone outside of, because there's a San Diego State fan in Massachusetts, but in Swansea, by the way. That's not untrue.
Who?
I'll tell you later. I know who he is. He watches most of the games. He travels to San Diego every year. It is impossible to say, because then 2022 you had a Final Four of Duke, Kansas, Villanova, North Carolina. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I would say the field. As Keegan pointed out, it is so difficult to go back to back. I think Florida was the last team that succeeded, and no one else has even come close to it since.
I mean, there are a couple that have come a little close.
Villanova went 2 in 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So they won it in 16. They were bounced in, I think, the second round the next year, and then won it again.
UNC made it in 2016 and then won it in 2017. I remember that.
I understand. I think it was UNC.
UNC lost
Blood.
it in 16 and won it in 17. I'm just quickly going through.
And you never see that.
So UConn won it in 2011 and 2014. Kentucky won it in 12 and then made it in the championship in 14 as an 8 seed.
And who won it? Who won
UConn.
In 15?
15?
Was that Louisville?
No. 2015 was Duke.
When was Louisville?
Louisville was 2013.
2013.
13. Okay.
2014, UConn. 2015 was Duke. Then Villanova, UNC, Villanova, Virginia, and then canceled.
Does Purdue bounce back from the one losing to the 16? Do they pull a Virginia?
No.
You don't think so?
For as long as Matt Painter is the coach of that team, he will never win a big game.
Never in the country right now.
With the reigning player of the year back too.
But I'm just gonna say this: Arizona. Holy cow! Watch out for. Look out for Zona. Look out for Creighton. I think you're gonna see a team like James Madison, Princeton.
Creighton was a foul from going away to the Final Four last year.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know we talked about Nova for a minute.
Yeah.
Can they fire Kyle Neptune already? Good Lord, that guy cannot coach. He can't. He can't coach. Here's the thing, okay? I'm going to pull up some numbers to make sure I'm accurate. Kyle Neptune was a Jay Wright guy. Okay?
Yeah.
He was an assistant for him for the decade. Okay? What was the gentleman's name? When Jeff Neubauer was fired in 2020, 2021, they went 2-12 that year in a shortened season due to COVID. 21-22 was Kyle Neptune's first year as the head coach of Fordham. He went 16-16. You cannot get any more mediocre than that, right? Just looking at the schedule, they lost some bad games, right? They lost to Manhattan. They lost to Maryland Eastern Shore. They lost to St. John's pretty badly. But they had some good wins. They beat Duquesne, which is always tough in conference play. They beat URI. URI was decent. They beat George Mason, where I think that was Kim's first year. He goes 16-16. The year after that, Jay Wright called him and said, "Hey, come succeed me at Nova." And I was on this show that I said this was the biggest mistake Villanova University will make, because this guy can't coach. He cannot manage the clock to save his life. And I'm not right very often on this show. However, I hit that one out of the park. Just like Tyler hit that Ohtani the Dodgers one out of the park. 450 dead center. Why? Well, let me say why. Because the year after, they promote Keith Ergo, who was the associate head coach. Now, they had a couple of kids graduate.
Can I jump in for 1 second? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in for 1 second?
Yeah.
I am not as impassioned about Big East NCAA basketball as you are. So I'm not going to jump in on this, just so you know. This is all the two of you for this. So I'm
Oh no, this is all Brady.
This is not something that I'm at all. I can tell that you're very okay. I'm going to let you continue.
The year after, okay, 22-23, right? Just this past year, it was Keith Ergo's first year, right? The associate gets promoted. They won the Tom Konchalski Classic, which is a MTE, and they received some votes in the AP poll. They lost in the semifinals of the A10 tournament to Dayton. So, what does that tell you about Kyle Neptune? It tells you he can't coach. Because Villanova was supposed to do big things last year. Do we all remember this? He was supposed to do big things. They said, this guy's the real deal. They could not have had a more mediocre season. I don't care Justin Moore wasn't there. They could not have had a more mediocre season. And I remember all these people. All my love to John Fanta. He's a great dude. But he kept saying, Nova, Nova, Nova. And I told him, John, no. All these people talk about St. John's. Talking to you, Mark Titus. No. St. John's ain't going to do nothing. People, they're bouncing right there. People St. John the AP poll. Why? Because Rick Pitino's there? Just because you got a coach, that don't mean a team good. I don't mean the team good. Wait till the coach plays. Wait till the team plays. Same thing with Colorado and Coach Prime. I love Coach Prime. I do. He's going to turn that program, especially when they hit Big 12 play. He's going to turn that program around. But there are people that wanted Colorado in the preseason AP top 25. They haven't played a game. You can't sit there and say that. That's bonkers. If it was anybody else coming in, if Les Miles went to go coach Colorado, you'd be saying they'd be in the dumps. Even with a better quarterback and a better receiver and a better running back and a couple better DBs. What is it going to take for Villanova to fire Kyle Neptune? Really? Because you lost to St. Joe's. You lost to Penn. Did they lose to UCLA the other night?
No, they beat UCLA.
They beat UCLA? What was the score of that game?
I don't know. I just looked it up. You're like railing this coach and the team's 7-4. Just
65,
Nova won
56, they won.
65,
Okay.
56.
Listen, I understand they're 8-4, and that's not horrible. But this is a team you'd think through the first 12 games. The way people were talking about this team and this coach, you'd be thinking they'd be undefeated. They'd be 10-2. They'd be a top 15 team. They
weren't they ranked to start the year?
Neptune can't coach. That's the bottom line. This is Neptune can't coach. I would love to see them bring in the guy from Charleston, Pat Kelsey, or Mitch Henderson from Princeton. Now, I don't think Mitch, that's his alma mater. I don't think he'd leave. Pat just signed a long-term deal. I don't think he'd leave. I think they're better off getting Mitch. I think they get a better shot at getting Mitch than they do Pat. I'm not a Nova fan. I don't claim to be a Nova fan, but my God, what is it going to take? What is it going to take, man? Because this guy is going to run you to the bottom. They lost to Penn. They barely got by Maryland. I know they ended up winning by 17, but they struggled. They upset North Carolina. They barely got by Memphis. Again, they had a big splurge in the second half. And then St. Joe's, and then Drexel. Drexel! And people talk about the Big Five's a gauntlet. The Big Five, really? The Big Five's a gauntlet? Give me a break. The Big Five's not a gauntlet. The Big Five is one of my favorite things about college hoops, but you can't sit there and tell me it's a gauntlet. You know what a gauntlet is? The Big East. That's a gauntlet. The A10 and conference, the Mountain West is a gauntlet. That's a tough league. The Big Five is no gauntlet. And you can't beat those simple games. You can't go to Drexel and win. Give me a break. And I know I'm not the only person that feels that way. They're gonna get smacked by Creighton on Wednesday. Heck, they're gonna watch him go to DePaul and lose because he can't win on the road. Watch him go to DePaul and lose. All I'm gonna say. How does PC do? This y'all can jump in on this. How's PC gonna do?
They haven't had a good win yet, so I'm not convinced.
You don't consider Wisconsin a good win? Because I do.
No.
Okay. Are they a tournament team?
I'm already said I'm out of this discussion.
No, Big East record. I'm gonna go 13-7 or maybe 12.
Are they a tournament team?
No.
Really?
No.
I mean, I'm looking. Hold on.
Why?
This year, no. Next year, ask me again. This year, no.
They're 8-2.
Next year, I would say no. No Oduro. Hopkins and Carter will probably declare. One of the two will declare.
Oh,
next year's a no.
Hold on, I'm losing Wi-Fi.
But this year, I don't. No, I'm not saying Elite Eight. I mean, Rob Douster had them in the Final Four, and I think that's a stretch. I do.
No, we're talking first round, make the tournament. That's what we're talking about.
The ceiling is a Sweet 16, and the floor is the NIT champions.
Okay.
Is that fair? I mean, that's a second weekend team.
If you're asking me right now today, do I think with the way they've played and the way they look against these teams,
Lenardi has them in
later in the year, do they make it? I say no.
Yes.
Listen, I'm not as much of a PC biggest one as you are. I'll tell you that.
I'm not trying to be biased because I'm not out here saying they're gonna make the Final Four like Douster said. And I like Rob Douster. I think he's a cool dude, but that's a stretch, man. They're not that good. Are they gonna struggle a little bit in the Big East? Yeah, they're gonna struggle in the Big East. They're not. They're gonna get swept by Marquette.
Yeah, well, the last 2 years, they've gone on runs, so you never know.
They'll win one against UConn. Because all you got to do is stop clinging. That's the way I see it. If PC stops clinging, I think they're good. Marquette, yeah, they'll probably lose both. Kolek, man, Rhode Island boy. He's a Rhode Island boy. Hacky. I want to talk hacky. Tyler, you want to talk about hacky?
I can try.
Okay. What do you think of Connor Bernard?
He's the real deal.
Yeah, he is.
He's the best player since McDavid coming in the league. Boy, did the Blackhawk. So I've as of last year, I've become a fan of the Buffalo Sabres. Did you not know that?
I
Did you not
did,
know
but
that?
I still don't fully
I went to a
understand.
game there last November, and I really just I don't know. I liked the crowd. I liked the community, and they're an upstart. I guess I just like to support terrible franchises. I have no idea. So the thing is, when I watch the Sabres, they're obviously not on TV around here. So I have to like find a stream of the game. And a
You
couple
watch the
weeks
game illegally.
ago,
You watch their games illegally.
with whatever, I don't want to tell the website that it's not illegal, but it's that I find alternate means to watch
Which
the broadcast. Yeah. So anyway, the stream that I got a few weeks ago, when I find the stream, it's a 50-50 shot if it's going to be the Buffalo announcers or the other team. And the stream that I got was the Chicago announcers. By the way, the Chicago play-by-play, I forgot his name, Pluck. He's the best play-by-play guy I've ever heard.
Chris Foster's. He's awesome. He is.
He's awesome.
I like him
awesome.
a lot.
They talked in detail about Bedard. This was the game that Taylor Hall came back.
Okay.
And was not himself. And then he pulled himself from the game or whatever, and then that's why he was out for the year. So they spent some time in the pregame talking about the return of Taylor Hall, but the rest of it was just flashing all about Bedard and how this kid, and I agree. I guess if you want to be great in the NHL, you just have to be named Connor now, I guess is the way into it. But it's, yeah, he'll be, it's not an if, it's a matter of when he wins the MVP. Yeah. Will he take Chicago? Because as you know, the Bruins were the victim of this. One of them, Chicago won 3 Stanley Cups in I think a 6-year span, and haven't come close since. Will he bring Chicago back to the promised land? No, because McDavid hasn't even brought Edmonton to the finals since he's been there. But
that's not his doing.
But
I think that's a goaltending thing.
Bedard is great for the league because you need. I would say.
Can't argue with that.
My hockey history is not. Who came in the league more recently? Was it McDavid or was it Austin Matthews?
Matthews was more recent by a year.
Matthews was more okay. So I would say that Bedard is the biggest thing since Matthews. But Bedard,
honestly, you could argue Bedard is the biggest thing since Crosby.
Here's the I would say that
Patty Kane, you could go further time than that.
The thing for Bedard that he has working in his favor that Matthews did not have. Matthews was from Arizona, which is a very random state to be such a good hockey. Bedard has all of Canada supporting him. So that's why he's going to get more, coverage just pretty much by that reason. But he's great for the league. Chicago had an incredibly lucky draw because they weren't even the worst team last year. I think it was Anaheim last year.
I could be making it up. It was like the 8th best odds. It was something like.
It was not.
It made you think the lottery is rigged. It did.
Yeah.
Same thing with the NBA. It makes you think these lotteries are rigged.
You could because
so was San Antonio, and you've seen it with Chicago. I'm just saying.
Would you rather? What's better for the league, having Connor Bedard on Chicago or having Connor Bedard play for the Columbus Blue Jackets?
Chicago.
Exactly. Yeah, it's. I'm not going to say it's rigged. I'm just saying that
it wouldn't shock me.
No, but he's a great player. I think. Out of all of the 4 professional leagues, by far the most common one to go back-to-back in is hockey.
Yes.
And I think you have a really good shot of seeing Vegas repeat.
I mean, they say the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win. And I couldn't agree more with that statement. But it's also the easiest to win 2 in a row.
Was there any, outside of a certain geographic area, and I hate to bring this back for the 2 of you, was there a human being who followed sports last year who actually picked the Bruins to lose in the first round of the Panthers?
No.
No.
No, not a single. It was
No.
it was a with that it was a matter of not when, it's a matter of in how many games will the Bruins do it. And then look who fooled everyone. So that's if there's any league, I would say, in which the lower seed has the best shot at winning. Apparently it's baseball now, but I would say hockey. You see the low seeds.
The part that even irked me the most, and I think, and Keegan's going to agree with me with this, is that the Vegas Golden Knights head coach is Bruce Cassidy.
Yeah.
So
first year,
it makes you wonder, dang, Cassidy's not the issue. Cam Neely, you're the issue. But at the same time, Jim Montgomery's done nothing short of a great job. I mean, facts are facts, right?
Here's the solace that you
Guy
can
doesn't
take.
lose very often.
The Bruins this year or last year, they're still very good this year. They're not going to beat last year's team. I think if you want success, the key, I think, is to crash and burn once, because the Bruins this year broke the points record, which were set, I believe, by the Lightning a few seasons ago, who got swept in the first round by Columbus. And how did the Lightning respond? They won by winning 2 consecutive Stanley Cups and going to a third. Because at that point, like, they had nothing. I'm not gonna say nothing to lose, but it's 2007 Patriots went 16-0, lost in the Super Bowl, and Brady still ended up winning 3 of them. Right. So you can't let one colossal failure. I think the Bruins felt invincible last year, and I think that humbled them a bit. So they'll make the play. It's not a matter of they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's just, I would not at all. I will say this right now. I would not at all be surprised to see a Vegas-Boston Stanley Cup final.
That's fair. Keegan, I know wanted to get into it. First of all, congratulations to Keegan Hamlin on becoming the new voice of DRS hockey. Much deserved, my friend. You wanted to run through a little bit of the Mass high school scene, particularly an SEC first team. Give me a couple of guys to watch in this conference, because it's one of the more exciting conferences in the state.
All right, yeah. So let's start with the goaltending, and I think we know the 2 obvious ones. Brandon Silva. Hey, Silva, he's back. So props to Brandon being back. So he's my number 1 in goal. And number 2, we're going Sam Bastis from DRS. They're both seniors, both proven time and time again that they can step up. 2 defensemen I put, both DRS and Somerset again. Connor Dexter, I'm going to have on that right side for DRS. And he's like a 2-way player too, which I've seen in the scrimmages.
He's a fun dude to watch. He is.
Yeah. And then on that left side, I'm putting Mason Sullivan. He had a couple goals to celebrate his birthday last night in the Prenda Cup round 1. He had 2 goals to boot in that 4-0 win. Big guy, very aggressive on the ice too. Good shot. So good player to look out for. And then the 3 up top. So I kind of mixed it around because these are guys from all over the conference.
My guy Staff on there?
No, he's not.
Oh, come on.
So right wing, I'm going to go with Ty Kelly for the Bourne Canalman. Because
he just won the Otto Graham. He just won Otto Graham Award.
Yeah, because he's good. He
has
athlete. A lot of speed. I'll tell you that. Very good athlete. The center in the middle, I'm going to go Jack Finn, who's part of the Old Rochester Fairhaven Co-op. He was a captain last year as a junior. Now as a senior, can he take it to the next level and try to get Old Rochester into that state tournament? And then on the left side, I really don't think it's even close. I went for DRS Brady Fitzpatrick.
Oh, yeah.
That kid is ridiculous.
He is. I had the privilege of watching last year. I mean, we did a Somerset game together. I got to see DRS a couple of times up at the Prout Christmas tournament at Schneider Arena. And you watch the DRS team just practice, and you're like, yeah, this team's winning the SEC. The Bastis brothers, I think, clearly led that team last year, with Noah being gone, obviously, now.
Yeah, and Adam's on that first line this year, too, as a sophomore.
Adam was awesome. Sam and goal. They ran that program. Fitzpatrick is the most underrated kid in the conference.
Yeah.
Dexter was fun to watch. They had another kid, Colton Astor.
Yeah, he's a senior. He was.
I would say I think he's a senior this year. Wicked shot, quick skater. IQ through the roof. You got yourselves a fun team to call, my friend. So
Yeah.
I want to congratulate you on that.
And I do want to shout out Brady Fitzpatrick too, because his mom, I'm not gonna say her name just for the purposes. Mrs. Fitzpatrick, though, she was one of the parents on that board who helped kickstart this thing going. We've had a couple bumps on the road through the first few weeks, but
All right.
I'm very excited for this. We start.
When's your first game?
Saturday against Medway, 4:30 p.m. in Franklin. Very excited.
We're gonna go to Tyler's favorite sport. It is football.
Not vroom vroom car.
No,
Not vroom vroom car.
Keegan, let me hit you quick. We know from the Revolution have announced they're not extending Gustavo Bo, which I kind of like this move because as good as he was, they got to get younger.
I'm just gonna nod my head like I'm agreeing with you. I have no idea what you're talking about.
But they need a number 9. Who is it?
So we were talking about this before. There's a lot of good options, not just around MLS, but you got players who represent the U.S. internationally that play in Europe. But I did go with an MLS guy. He was a part of an MLS Cup winning team in 2018. He was I believe, the top goal scorer that year in the league.
2018.
And he was just with Miami.
Yep. Okay.
And he was just with Miami last year, and they're not going to be bringing him back. So I said Joseph Martinez.
I like it.
I know.
Absolutely, Joseph Martinez.
I know he has his injury history, but he's still 30 years old, and he doesn't even have to start for you. Even if he's like a second half guy that can produce.
Who do you what? They struggled last year with scoring goals.
They did. But he can still contribute. A lot. I'm not expecting him to go the full 90, but if he can get on, maybe even get like 10, 15 goals, like I'll still take it. I'll gladly take it.
Get me an experienced center back, particularly from a top 5 league in Europe. Go after Miles Robinson.
Okay.
PSV Eindhoven.
Definitely Miles Robinson.
Do you even know who that is?
Nope, not a clue.
I'll give you $100 if you can tell me his jersey number that he wears for the U.S. $100.
Me or Tyler?
Tyler, because I know you know what number.
0.
Oh.
12.
I just said Calvin Ridley's number. That's all
Someone said, yeah. Keegan owes me $100. All right. I mean, I wouldn't mind that, but I would like to see. I would say Luis Suarez, but like we know he's going.
He's going to Miami. Yeah.
I wanted the Revs to go after Bobby Firmino, but he's out in the Saudi league. But I've taken a new appreciation of that sport. I love it now. Spurs are rolling. Great 4-1 win over Newcastle. They got Forest tomorrow afternoon. I'm gonna tell you, Ange Postecoglou can have my kids. I mean, the guy is he plays my style of soccer, right? Plays a high line. The most aggressive coach. Like, we think Pep Guardiola is aggressive, and then you watch Ange ball, and you're like, holy crap. This guy is relentless. What I love about him is his underdog mentality, of the sense of like the guy's 56, right? And he's getting his first top 5 job. I love that about him. He's an first Aussie coach in the Premier League ever, which I think is awesome. He is so just chill, and he's a player's coach. You get that from the moment you meet him. I've never met him, but like I just get from watching press conferences. But the thing I love about him, it's his never say die attitude. The guy has the ultimate never say die attitude. And I think that's what Tottenham fans have been missing. You know, Conte, say what you want about him. He brought him back to the Champions League, and then he gave up. Let's be real. He gave up on that team. We can talk about the manager circus since Mauricio Pochettino, and it is true. Like, Jose Mourinho, should he have been sacked? No. I will forever stand by that. I think they sacked him way too soon. And then Nuno Espirito Santo happened. Never should have happened. That was a disaster. Conte happened. You're like, wow, we're going to build something with an ex-Chelsea guy. No. And then I think they finally found their guy in Postecoglou, so I'm happy. Congrats to the Columbus Crew on winning MLS Cup.
I knew that.
Julian Gressel's going to be Yes. Julian Gressel's going to be arrested.
They honored some of the players. I have no idea who they were in attendance at the
Darlington
Browns
Navy.
and Jaguars game, and then they flashed.
The same guy that owns the Browns owns the Crew.
Yeah, but
Jimmy
apparently
Haslam.
in Ohio they just spread out their sports teams instead of the. Well, you got because Cleveland has 3 teams and Columbus has 2, so instead of putting them all, in one city, they just spread them out throughout the state.
Then there's Cincinnati.
Well, I know Ohio geography much better than you do, but Columbus and Cleveland are nowhere near each other.
You only go there a lot.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
I'm happy for the Columbus Crew that they won. Not really, but yes. And if the Revs ever won, Kraft would not bring them out on the field for a Patriots thing ceremony. He would never.
Yes.
No, he probably wouldn't have even known that they were in the playoffs.
He's just got to get in the new stadium first. Everett, Mass is a great spot for a new stadium. That is never going to happen. He should just sell the team. We should just win the lottery and buy that team, man. Put up $500 million. Buy that team.
Put Tyler's face on
be
like
the
promotional pictures. Do that.
Yeah, I don't think that'll sell it very well.
Any closing thoughts?
On what sport? Any sport? One sport?
Anything.
Sport?
Anything.
Let's play SEC hockey. How about that? Let's play SEC hockey.
I'm ready to have my heart ripped out as a Jacksonville fan in the playoffs this year. But if this is the best shot they've had in more 25 years to do it, it's this year. It's a weak AFC.
I agree.
They don't have to play San Francisco or Dallas until the Super Bowl. And I'm reasonably sure that Yamamoto will not sign with the Oakland Athletics, as we said before.
Thoughts, prayers, and one would say condolences to anyone who lives in East Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
For the next 3 months.
It's got to get a little bit better now. But
if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers and condolences to anyone who lives north of Warwick, Rhode Island, and south of Burrillville, Rhode Island. Thoughts and prayers to anyone who works in between Warwick and Burrillville, Rhode Island. Pretty much thoughts and prayers to anyone who uses the Washington Bridge. And I'm not even going to get into it because we could be here for another 58 minutes and 45 seconds at least. So on that note, thank you for watching. If you stuck with us the whole time, God, I love you. And keep an eye out for us before the new year. So long, everybody. Good night.
All right.